This is definitely a new situation for me. I've never used this app before, so like this is like completely new. Plus, I'm not like the most tech savvy person. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, again, appreciate the time, of course, and reaching out. So this is definitely something I'm excited for.
Much love, and I appreciate you right back. Giving our platform a chance, especially you don't know our identity, so with scammers and all that shit going
For real. All good, all good. No, definitely
on.
we appreciate the scammers. All good with the scammers. Yeah.
um, and uh, to give you a heads up, if you would like to use this app for yourself, you can connect multiple phones to catch like multiple angles. So if you want to
Mhm.
like use it to shoot a music video, I do recommend it for that type of use as well.
Got it. Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
I'm gonna start off with the intro, and then I'm gonna have you introduce yourself. You ready?
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. Welcome to our podcast Origin, where we celebrate the voices that refuse to be silenced, the talents that demand to be heard, and the stories that inspire us all. Today, we invite our special guests to share their magic with the world, a beacon of creativity, a powerhouse of passion, and a soul destined to shine. As we embark on this journey together, let's unlock the depth of your talent, unravel the layers of your artistry, and ignite a spark that will illuminate the hearts and minds of our listeners. Get ready to showcase your brilliance, embrace your uniqueness, and let your talent speak volumes. This is your stage, your moment. Let the world witness the magic you're about to unleash. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Fire intro, my man. Fire intro. My
Appreciate
name's Austin Steele, rapper, artist from Queens, New York. Uh, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty much with the bio. That's who I am. But we can get more into it. But yeah.
it. Shout out to you. And, tell us a bit, about yourself.
Yeah, I've been rapping, making music for 8 years now, which it feels longer than that, but I'm also like a little shocked to say like it's been that long. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else. I feel like I'm a regular person trying to do irregular things and trying to achieve things that are a little far-fetched for like the average person. I don't know anybody in the music industry. I don't know anybody that's like even musically talented within my life. And I wasn't one of those people that like, people that like they were born, they were like, I wanted to be a rapper since I was like this age. Like that wasn't really me. If anything, I was the opposite. I was the person that was like being a rapper is like a little corny. Like, why would somebody really want to do that shit? Like, it just didn't seem like the a viable option. But,
Mm,
I think around the time I got to it, I mean, the seeds was there. I think the thing with me was I always enjoyed writing. Like, like I'd always like look at artists and I'm just like, okay, like what was your foundation? Like what was the thing that made you think that you had the shot to do it? So when I look back at myself, I'm like, okay, like definitely the writing was there. Like I was a person that was like, unbeknownst to me, like always liked writing like short stories, um, poems and things like that. But like again, the real person to me is like this is a corny thing. Like, what do you do with that? Like, you like writing, but like you do this little poems or whatever. But like, what do you actually turn that into? Lead, and that led me into college. And then I think everybody in college is like in that phase of their life of like a spiritual awakening and figuring out who they want to be. And you start valuing things outside of just like the vanity things that we look at every day, like, oh, I gotta get the nicest clothes, I gotta get the best looking girls. Like, it was just more like, okay, how do I take what I'm taking in now in the world and like apply that somewhere? So, all that to say, it led me to a creative writing class that I was taking in college. I was like 19 at the time. Nice old white lady who like was just like, mind you, everybody in the class is like super older than me at this point. Like a lot of these people were like from, and not even from like New York. They were like from Wisconsin and shit like that. Like, but very like talented people. But in doing that class, it kind of like, 'cause when you go through school, you do a bunch of like essays and academic writing and creative writing. It's just like, well, what do you feel like talking about when you start writing those things? And I think eventually it just dawned on me because I'm also the type of person who was like, I'm very goal oriented. So like when I have something in mind, like I'm like, I have to do that. So it turned into, okay, well, I don't want to be a poet. I don't think that's like a thing anymore. So I was like, what do you do? I was like, oh, let's do this over music, over beats. And I was like, oh, I'll be a rapper. Um, and that turned into me convincing my friends who, again, no musical talent, nobody ever did music before. And I was like, you know what? Let's make a mixtape. And everybody was like, no, what? And then it was like, yeah,
Mm.
let's do a mixtape. I'll be the rapper. And I convinced my friend to be my producer, which ended up turning out into him being my engineer because he didn't have the patience for making beats. Um, and then over the next year, like I just taught myself how to, I know how to write, but I didn't know how to write a verse or a song. And I was like, let me figure this out. And I taught myself. We started doing freestyles, started getting like a little buzz within like our community on like social media because at this time everybody knew me and they probably was like Austin's full of shit. There's no way he's gonna actually do this. But then once they started seeing the freestyles and the consistency, it was like, oh, I guess he's like dead ass about this. Which led to me dropping like my first project Vibes, which is like out now like on every platform that I'm available on. And it was like at the time it was just it's not like it's streamed crazy or like it got popping on like a major level, but like for me it was like a feeling of like, the seed that you planted a year prior of being like, this is what I want to do. And you actually did it was like the dopest feeling to me. And that made me only want to be hungry to do more. And, 8 years later, I'm still pursuing it like I was back then. So that's kind of the summation of my story, or at least the genesis of it from like the beginning. But there's a lot in between, but that's pretty much how it started.
Shout out to you. And
Yeah.
I'm curious on a couple things. One, when you was in college, what was you studying?
Oh, to say that was fun. I was just having this like conversation with somebody the other day. I was watching the I'm sure you know about the OJ Simpson trial. Like they had the shit on
Mm.
Netflix. And mind you, I'm again, I don't know how old you are, but like I was born in '96. I'm like 28 now. So I
97.
wasn't oh okay. Oh, okay. So we're basically like
Mm.
about the same age. So like we weren't like alive for that trial. So like just watching it now, like I'm aware of it. Everybody knows who OJ is. But to see like what people were going through at the time was like mad fascinating. But I was telling somebody that when I was in college, initially, I wanted again get back to the writing thing and figuring out what I'm going to do in my life. I was like, oh, I had in high school I took journalism classes, and I was like, oh, okay, I could be a journalist. So I remember I had a teacher in high school, old white dude. I feel like I've had a lot of old white people in my life that's given me like guidance at some point indirectly. Um, guy's name was like Mr. Gilday, and I hope he sees this at some point. Um, and he was like, "Yeah, you could be a journalist, but like you'll be poor. So like, I don't know if you really want to do that." So I was like, "Well,
Mm.
damn." So I get to college, and I was like, "Well, fuck him. I'm still gonna do journalism." So I went to City College in Harlem, New York. And when I went and I was like, "Oh, I want my major to be journalism," they were like, "We don't offer that as a major. We actually got rid of that like a year or two ago." But they were like, "We offer it as a minor." So I was like, "Okay." And they were like, "Yeah, so you have to pick like an actual another major." Um, and I was like, "Okay, if I can't be a journalist, I'll be a lawyer." So I was like, "Do you have anything with law?" And they was like, "Oh, we have pre-law." So I was like, "Okay, I'll do that." But they told me, which is like, I don't know if it's like this in every 4 year school, but like in like because I went to a CUNY, which is like again like it's like a section of schools in New York was like city funded universities or whatever.
Mm.
And they were like, you don't have to declare your major until like your second sophomore year of college. So they're like, I know you want to do law, but like, why don't you just like take classes, figure it out, and then come back to us in like 2 years? I said, cool. So I ended up, eventually after the 2 years, I was like, I don't think I want to be a lawyer anymore. So
Mm.
I was like, in case the music thing doesn't work out, I want to actually be able to like be a functioning adult, which led me to majoring in advertising and marketing, which is basically a communications degree. So that's what I ended up majoring in and graduating in, and it's actually what I currently real life work in today. But you know,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. But it was also like which is needed because music is shit total like crazy expensive. Um, but it it was a good major, and it's also like a major where like, you know, for me, I was really smart in school, so it gave me time to be like, I don't have to be like a fucking engineer and focus my whole life on that. Like I could still focus a good amount of time on music, which is what I did. So it worked out. Yeah. So advertising marketing. I'm long-winded with my answer, so apologies if I like
No,
go
that's
all in a
fine.
circle. Yeah.
No, that's fine. So when it comes to marketing, what exactly you do?
So I am technically like my title is like a media planner. So what I do is, or at least what the agency that I work with, like they just plan media like commercials, well not commercials, but like the basically the whole media plan of like what your strategy is for like what you want to do for whatever product you're selling. So like my agency or my team that I work with, like we do advertising for this company called Neurocrine, which is like a big pharmaceutical company that like sells a drug that treats this disease called tardive dyskinesia, which is TD, um, which is like it's like it's like a thing you get as a side effect of taking like an antipsychotic. So like if you had depression and you took like pills for that, like this
Mm-hmm.
can in that the side effect of that could give you this disease and then they give you a drug for that, which is crazy because like in my real life, like outside of work, like just my morals is just like, fuck big pharma, right? Like that's like
Mm-hmm.
my thing. But, niggas gotta make money. So, I was like, well, they gave me a shot. So like, yeah, it's just planning the media for them and it's a cool job and I like the people that I work with. Um, but everybody at work too knows like Austin wants to be a rapper, Austin's doing music, so like it's not a everywhere I've gone is it's definitely not been a secret, but it's a good job. Like it's one of those jobs that like if everything doesn't work out, like I won't be on the street. So
Mm-hmm.
I gotta grind just like everybody else, even though I'd rather be writing verses all day and, on music video sets and doing rapper shit. So yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
And another thing that I was curious about, when you started this journey with your friends to starting the mixtape,
Mhm.
did y'all record, the behind the scenes for that?
We
Or
did.
is
We
there gonna
did.
be
Yeah, we didn't put out a lot of it. There was one, we did like one quick documentary, which again, I feel like as you're developing your sound and who you want to be as an artist, like you have to mimic the people you like, right? So like at the time, I remember this is like 2016, 2017. I think J. Cole had just come out with like the For Your Eyes Only album and he was doing like mini documentaries and shit like that. So like in my head, I was like, I have to do that shit. Especially because like one, he's my favorite rapper, and then like two, it just was like, if I were to do it, I was like, I'd probably do something like that. So we had put out like prior to the Vibes mixtape, we had put out like a mini like documentary kind of like showing people the process of us recording it. Again, everything was like very grassroots. So we recorded everything in my friend's apartment in his room because it wasn't really his apartment. It was his family, it was his parents' apartment. He lived there, but we had recorded in his room. Um, Again, he didn't have any background in engineering. It's just him being self-taught from YouTube videos and him figuring things out and us spending a shit ton of money on like setting up a home studio. So we recorded everything there, got it on camera, filmed everything. Um, and like again, it was just a super cool experience and time. Like he doesn't do music with me anymore, but I still, hit him up and send him songs that like I work on now. Now I go to like a professional studio and I have, people that actually have backgrounds and experience helping me out. In terms of that, I'm still paying them, but which is the
mm-hmm.
thing that like sucks about. That's kind of why I wanted my friend too. I was like, this is free, like outside of like pay for the equipment. I was like, I have to pay for studio time. But again, he's a
Mhm.
super smart, cool dude. He actually is an engineer now. Like he was doing that in school and like became that professionally. So like I'm super happy with him. Like at some point it was like if we didn't pop off by 21, like he kind of had to figure it out for himself, which I appreciated. So like, it was it was a weird time because deep down inside, I wish we kind of still were doing it together. But like, I was like, it's cool. Like, I have to go out on my own and figure it out, and that's where it was. But yeah, I say all that to say, yeah, we definitely filmed some behind the scenes things and things that like we haven't put out um yet. But I'm hoping, like in my dreams, I'm like, if I ever get to the place I want to be, like this is great footage to show people years from now to be like, this is where I started, and this is where I am now. So yeah,
No, shout out to y'all.
yeah,
Um,
appreciate it.
man, I'm definitely looking forward, to that future. Y'all both, at the top coming back together. I think that'd be a wonderful story too.
Yeah, I
Um,
told him, I was like, dude, like if I ever do Madison Square Garden, I'm bringing you on stage. Even if people don't know who the fuck you are, like I'll just tell this crowd, like, yo, this is my dude from back in the day. Like, I feel like also too, like if anybody's listened to my music, I've name dropped him a few times in my songs. His name is Karsh. Um, cool Indian dude. Me and him have like again, our backgrounds are so different on and in its core, which is I think also makes it cool. But really cool dude. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can give us that moment one day. I didn't mean to cut you off though, but yeah,
no, 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 you cool. And I'm curious, out of that project, what is your personal favorite song compared to his?
that's a good question. Um, I think his favorite song and everybody's favorite song, anybody's ever heard of that project. It was probably like my first. This song was actually it's a song called Fly Away. It's actually the second song, like the second full song I've actually like written in my life. The first one is called Chris and Tisha, which is also on the same project. Um, it's like from a while I had a beef with that song because like the song has a feature on it by this girl. Her name is Shirley. She's not an artist. She was just literally like my she was friend.
Hmm.
And like she had a nice voice. She's not a singer, but she had a nice voice. And when I wrote the hook, where she sings the hooks and the bridges of the song, um, I recorded it with my voice, and I was like, I like my voice, but I was like, I'm not a singer, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna sound good singing this. I was like, let me see if I can get somebody to do it. So I got her to do it. And when people hear the song today, my beef would it be like because I the song is so personal to me and like the verses was about like my struggles growing up and my family life and all my ambitions and what I who I want to be in my life and people are so fascinated and fixated on the hook and like it's a great hook. I wrote it, but people look at me and they're like, you have to love that Fly Away song. I'm like, thank you, but they're like, yeah, who's that girl though that was singing? Like, what's her name? I'm like, yo, she's not even an artist, my nigga. Like, she was just singing it. But again, I appreciate her for helping me out with that song. So that's probably his favorite song,
Hmm.
and a lot of people's favorite song, and I totally understand why. For me, um, it's probably tied between two songs. The song I mentioned earlier, the Chris and Tisha song, only because that was the first song I ever wrote in my like life prior we were just doing freestyles and the song came about because everything in my music is usually based off of some like there's something in real life it's based off of like I don't like to write fantasy per se even though I'm not gonna act like every word rappers be like man all my raps is facts like I'm not gonna say
Hmm.
that but because everything is not necessarily based off of me um but that song came because basically the song for anybody that hasn't heard it is essentially about um a couple this is like the fictitious part because these Chris and Tisha don't exist. These are like the people I made up, but the symbolism of it is real. It's basically about a couple that got together, young couple, and they're in the spot of like trying to figure out like what they're gonna be in their 20s, figuring out their relationship. And the song climaxes at the end when like the dude finds out like he got the girl pregnant. And I made the song after I had a friend who his older sister she was 25, but she had a kid like at the time or whatever. Um, and I remember we had a moment where I used to go over to his house all the time and his sister was there one time. And at this time, again, we're like 20, 19, whatever. Like we're drinking all the time in the house, partying, having fun, like just being young. And she's 25, but she's still young. Like she's still at that point in her life where like she wants to have fun too, but she can't because she has a kid. So,
Mm,
it was something that like I was like, damn, like if I had to write something from that perspective of her, because in the song I kind of take the perspective of the guy and then I take the perspective of the girl, which is her in this situation. Um, like I just wanted to write like what would that be like if I had to figure out what my life would be like at that point. So that's what the song was about. And it was such a big song for me at the time, like at least in my circle of like people in my community that was like, damn, you wrote this shit? And I was like, yeah, like I'm like, nigga, this is what I love writing. Like I love stories. So that was definitely probably my favorite song. The other one is it's a song called Vibes, it's the title track. That one was just like super personal and about my life and my dad who had at the time he had passed recently at the time he had cancer, so he had passed recently at the
mm.
time. um and like I just wanted to kind of again like write something that kind of encapsulated the whole project, and I felt like the project was about coming of age and coming from the point of wanting to do something and be a rapper and then kind of getting to the point of realizing that dream. And again, all these things were going on around the same time, so I just wanted to write a song that kind of like put a bow on everything. So that song was great. The only thing I hate about the song is that like I just feel like at the time I wasn't technically as good of a performer in the booth as I am now. So when I hear it sometimes, like I hear the I could have did this better part in me. But it's still a great song. But now I'm in talking to you now, I probably say Kristen Tisha. Kristen Tisha definitely is like that's the song that kicked everything off for me. So that's probably my favorite.
So Christian T is your favorite, and then the second one would be Vibe.
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
okay, I respect that. And it's dope to hear that you able to write from like different perspective.
Hmm.
Uh, I always find it funny, especially like when I hear like certain like artists, they be like, yeah, I rap about my real life experience, and then when I go listen to the music, I'm like, oh, I just killed it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
real life.
Be like, are you just admitting to a crime? Like,
Yeah.
like it's funny because people do it today too. But yeah,
And
like
I was like,
again,
is this creativity?
yeah, yeah. This is definitely not all facts. There's cap in your rap for sure. It's funny, but yeah. So I
I
don't want.
can imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine being a victim and then the song end up being ass. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you gotta at least write some fire shit. Like if you're gonna kill me and talk about it, like I need everything to be on point. Like at least. Or maybe on the flip side, you want the shit to be trash. You're like, yo, this dude just killed me. Like I don't want his shit to pop off. So, but that's funny.
Real
Like
shit.
no, that's funny.
Real shit. I guess if you want to be forgotten, it'd be your best favor for that song to be ass.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Just be like,
if you
oh,
technically
shit was
wanted to be
trash.
remembered,
Yeah, for sure. Like you do definitely you want people to at least know like, yeah, the dude that killed
now,
me, like he was
yeah.
that nigga, yo. Like he was fire. It's
Now
funny.
here's a fun question, and
Okay.
this is just a question, but continuing with the conversation, like if somebody were to murder you and make a song, and they
Mm,
took it as far as like let's say Kendrick at the Super Bowl type level, how will you
yeah.
feel?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'm very. It's funny too, because like funny about the battle too is like my friends was always like they were telling me in the battle, because again, I'm a big J. Cole dude. Like, I mean, I love
Hmm.
all three of them. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, it's fuck Kendrick or fuck Drake, like fuck Jake. Like, all three of them like are the most important three artists to my generation, especially as a rapper. Like for me,
I
um,
respect that.
but if like my friends kept telling me it was like, because I was so hot when J. Cole like bowed out initially. I'm like, wow, you did that shit. Cause like so I was like, damn. But if I was in the battle, like I'm so petty. Like I'd wanna fight. Like even if I couldn't win, I'd wanna fight. So if the situation happened where Kendrick killed me, like in real life or metaphorically on a track, whatever, and took it to the Super Bowl and sung the shit and everybody was singing it. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be hot from heaven or hell, wherever they put me. Like I'd be heated. Like I'd probably be like. trying to parlay with God, like, could you please trip this nigga or something? Like, just just make sure this nigga doesn't have like the perfect situation in this situation to like perform the song. Um, but
What
yeah,
part
like
will you be more mad at? Will you be more mad that he got in that far, that people supported this song that much that it's performing at the Super Bowl, or will you be mad that people in unison around the world
I don't
is
know, the
singing,
unison.
the song that, about, killing
About you being a pedophile, yeah, not a unison for sure. Like you gotta respect the fact that he got that far with it. Like you can't even
Yeah.
hate on that. Like, but the everybody singing A minor in unison, like, and then don't look in the camera and say Drake like while you look. Like, don't do that shit. Like, it's just a perfect moment that like is always gonna be remembered, especially like in today's day and age. Like you go on fucking TikTok, it's every two swipes is that, at least on my algorithm. So it's like,
Hmm.
that's probably like the worst. I mean, he'll be all right, like, but it's that's not what you want. And like, I don't know, like Kendrick is he's a evil nigga. Like he's just one of those dudes, like which I mean, nobody can be surprised, but it's definitely a situation where it's like, damn. But it's a good song. You gotta take it. Drake be cool.
I
He'll be cool.
respect
Hopefully, if he stops doing bullshit that he be doing, but he'll be fine.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Um, okay. And bringing this back to you, we were just talking about a bit of your music when it comes to the first project. Uh, after how many projects in total do you have?
That's out. So this vibes. The next project after vibes is this EP thing I did called The Diary. So that'd be two. I did a sequel to Vibes 2, so that'd be three. Um, as far as projects go, just three, I think. But there's like some singles obviously peppered in there. I think after I did to answer your question, three. But after I did the third project, I feel like and we can get into it too, but like I feel like the music changed so much around that time, like to where it is now where, you know, the need to do a project like my thought process changed because I came up wanting to be like obviously like I know for this generation like and I feel like I'm like me and you probably like we're the last of the millennials, like now
Hmm.
you have like Gen Z and like whoever the little people are beneath them or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
but the attention span of the audience now has changed so much that for a project to come out, like obviously, like if it's a Drake, if it's a Kendrick, if it's a J. Cole, everybody wants to hear that shit. Or if you have a loyal fan base, which at the time I didn't feel like I had that. And in some ways still I kind of feel like I'm still finding that. So I changed my approach and it went more from like, well, I want to make a project to let me just make good songs and put them out and then, hopefully at some point I can circle back to the project. But to answer your question, just three projects right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to that. And let me see. Uh, you actually reminded me of something earlier that I was curious about too. Uh, in the earlier conversation, you were saying like at first you would see a rapper as being corny.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm curious, what about that was corny to you
You
about being
know,
a
it
rapper?
was, like again, and being like young in like the early 2000s, like again, this is prior to the Kendricks, the Drakes, the Coles. A lot of I think me as an artist comes back to like those three because and I could throw Kanye in there too. Like, and I'm sure you know this too, like in the early 2000s, the idea of what a rapper was isn't what I am or what those artists are that I just mentioned. Like it was Jay-Z, it was 50 Cent, it was Eminem. It was like these bigger, larger than life people. Not that those people aren't, but like the relatability in music wasn't, at least in hip
Hmm.
hop, wasn't there for like somebody like me and the people I speak to. Like, I never sold drugs. I've never been super
Hmm.
rich. I've never, you know, I'm not white. Like I'm not those people. Um, so, to me it was like, okay, like what's the chances? Like the corniness came from like, okay, what's the odds that you become that. And I think at that time, being a kid, like it was a very far-fetched thing, and it wasn't something that like I was plotting on or I wanted to be. So when those artists came around, the Kendricks, the Drakes, the Coles, the Kanyes, I think the idea of what a rapper, an artist like that could be became more of a tangible thing because it was like now it's like okay, like I see myself in those people, like they're talking about everyday shit, like things that happen, like you don't have to sold drugs to rap anymore. It's like, okay, you might have been around people that did that, which I could identify with, but like you weren't the dealer, you weren't the fiend, you were just the dude on the corner, like going to pick up some bread, and maybe you saw some shit. Like that's me. So it was like, okay, like now it went from it's not, a crazy thing. Because that's like where the corniness came from. Like it's like, oh, that's crazy. Like, no, that's corny. Like, well, what am I gonna rap about? What am I gonna talk about? So now it became like a real thing. And then it became a little less corny. And I think in my head, once I could see myself doing it, because I don't think I'm corny. So I was like, once I could see myself doing it, I was like, you know what? I don't think it's corny anymore. And you know what? Honestly, in speaking like out like about it, like maybe it is corny. Maybe somebody sees me. I always think about that. Like I think it's different today too, because like everybody wants to rap now, right? It seems like everybody does
Hmm.
music, but back then it was like it seemed very niche, and you had to kind of know people. But maybe somebody today looks at me and was like, this nigga's mad corny. Like, the fuck is he talking about? Like, it's possible. But like at today, as an adult now, I can own those things. And um, any label people want to put on me is fine, because it's I'm ever evolving and, figuring out like what I am and who I'm gonna be as an artist. Like it's a thing that doesn't stop going on. So but yeah, like the idea of being 50 Cent, even though I wanted to be 50 Cent when I was younger, was corny to me. I'm like, the fuck, I'm gonna have a bulletproof vest. And I wanted it all though. I wanted the Escalade, I wanted the back hat, like I wanted the starter hat turned backwards. I wanted the Timbs, I wanted everything. I wanted, yeah, that was just like, but like that's corny to want to be something that you're not, you know?
No, no, I respect that. And I'm curious before we go to the halfway mark, uh, how will you describe your music and your sound?
It's interesting. It's an interesting question. I feel like that's like the question for everybody. I would say, again, I think, I don't know if I could give an accurate depiction 'cause I kind of feel like it's an interpretation thing. For me, my interpretation of it is it's an everyday person with like a little bit of charisma in there talking about everyday shit. Um, Definitely vulnerability is like the word like I always go back to. I feel like I've always been a vulnerable person, like within like who I am as a person is a vulnerable person. I'm not like an outwardly vulnerable person. Like I'm not early Drake. I don't cry. Like I don't do shit like that. But like I like to be honest, whether the honesty is so I guess honest and vulnerable. Like I if the honesty is blunt, I'm cool with that. If the honesty comes from a place of being vulnerable and telling you how I feel emotionally, like I'm cool with that too. Like I don't want to sell people on I'm J. Cole or I'm Kendrick or I'm Joey Badass or I'm Benny the Butcher. Like these, like just random people. Like these are all people like I watch and admire and I study. But um,
Mm,
I'd make vulnerable, honest music about my thoughts. Like I always tell people, like my music is really just me having conversations with myself and allowing people to kind of be in on the conversation and listen like a fly on the wall. Like I always tell people like if I speak a lot to myself in my music. I'm also one of those people that like in real life like to talk to themselves. Like in the house, nobody's here, full on conversation. And I think all I do now is turn that into, okay, well, let me make it rhyme, let me make it fly, and let me put it over a beat. So anybody that's listening to Austin Steele, like I just want them to know, like, you're gonna get honesty and vulnerability, and I'm definitely not ashamed to admit and show like my shortcomings. Like my early music isn't the best quality sounding shit because I couldn't afford it at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but like I like I've grown to like the fact that that's there because I want people to see that journey. So like when I get to where I need to be, it's like, okay, you can go back and see the evolution of it. And then at that point I can test myself and see what's that next stage for me. Because I would have liked a story where like everything was perfect and it went straight like the way I wanted. If I had things my way, I would have been popping at 21 and rich and shit, and I'd be on my fifth studio album and everything would be great. But life is not like that. So I think people can identify with that. Like unless you come from like wealth or you know shit was easy for you. Like life is not linear. Things go up and down and left, right, sideways. And I think those are the things that you can hear in my music. So, um, honest and vulnerable is what I'd say I am as an artist.
Shout out to you.
Yeah.
And in some way, it kind of remind people, you know, at least when it comes to like Queens of New York, of like, that raw mixtape
Mhm.
era. Um, yeah, I can see that. Especially, you are correct. I mean, typically entertainers, they would express, their environment, what they're going through, the times they in. And we're in a very interesting time period right now.
No,
I
for
would
sure.
definitely say.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's definitely far from shining bright.
Yeah. Oh, no, no, for sure. I
um,
definitely agree.
but I respect that, and I think there's definitely an audience for you. And one particular artist that was popping in mind, uh, hearing you talking about your music and recalling the music that I personally listening to. Is this one particular artist that I work with? I know she's from New York as well. I'm not sure she's from Queens as well, but she used to go by Season Love.
Season Love. Okay.
Yeah, I did an interview with her as well, so you'll be able to find her within the podcast. But she's
Okay.
got a beautiful voice, and she's on a similar path. You might find her interesting. I think that would be a dope collaboration between y'all two.
Yeah, I gotta check her out. But thank you for putting me on. Seasoned Love. Okay.
It's gonna be
Definitely have to check
spelled
that out.
S. It's gonna be spelled SZN and then love.
As the oh, season love. Oh, okay. Like season. Like got it. Cool, cool, cool. I like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check her out.
But
I do my research. I'm telling you, I did my research even before I came here. I didn't come across her episode, but like I was like, I don't know. Like I gotta find out who I'm talking to. Like I gotta do my Googles. So
appreciate
yeah, I'll check it out, of course.
appreciate it. And coming to the halfway mark, how we feel?
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm here. Still got me. I got my water, so I'm chilling.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So in the halfway mark, this is where I present people that I connected with, some of my connections. If you they definitely in the mindset of exploring and, you know, building with other people. So if you find them useful or you like to connect with them, I leave them up to you.
Okay.
But the first one that I would start off with, shout out to One Nation. He created his own black comic book, slash like manga. He got his own black characters, etc. He got his first volume out right now. If that's somebody that you'd like to connect with, support, or whatever, we can make it happen.
Okay. It's cool. One Nation, you said, right?
Yes,
Is
One
that is
Nation.
that like one like the number one or like spelled out like one like
Spell
O
out.
N? Okay, One Nation. Got it. Okay.
Our second collaborator, shout out to Jet Production. They make short action films. So, especially as a writer or whatever, and a musician, there's a lot of ways, you can build upon that relationship. But if that's somebody that would like to connect with, somebody that direct and shoot like short action films, we can make it happen.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
Shout out to our third one. Shout out to Mason Neatladder. He's a 2D animator. So if you need somebody around, flyers, animation, anything around 2D animation, he can do it. But if you need
Mm.
somebody like that within your circle or connection, we can make it happen.
Okay. Cool. Cool. And you said his name was what?
Mason Neatladder.
Mason Neatladder. Okay. That's an interesting last name.
I agree. I agree. I still haven't asked him why you put, ladder in your name, but
Yeah,
we would definitely figure that
I
out.
like it though. Different.
Shout out to our fourth one, Moss. Uh, Moss is a producer slash artist. He actually produced our first soundtrack, where we creating a soundtrack that's mixing horror with violent times and inviting artists to, drop a verse on that type of project. Uh, but if that's somebody that you like to connect with outside of that, just personally as a producer or artist,
Hmm.
Moss, you can make that happen.
Okay. And Moss like Moss.
MAS,
MA.
Moss.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Uh, and then our last one, shout out to Jeremy. I believe he's located in North Carolina. But he's starting up his own thing with artists can perform live at a restaurant called Tap Room Live. Right
Mm,
now, that's in the build up phase. But if you like to stay tuned or connect with somebody within, doing that type of stuff, and he's also an artist as well. Um, but if you like to tap in, with somebody with in that field, you can make that happen.
yeah, no, for sure. I definitely like
No.
to get back out there, do as many shows as I can. So
Okay, but
that'd be a
I
good
was
one.
sending you all their information after the podcast,
Hmm.
uh, with their links and stuff like that.
Perfect. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem. And the last thing I would bring up, like I said earlier, what we start doing is we create our own label, which we create soundtracks uh, throughout the year, where artists could participate and hop on and drop a verse.
Hmm.
Uh, there are certain, conditions and terms that we have on it if you agree to that, but we invite artists to hop on if they want to take up that challenge. Uh, they get to pick three out of the 10 beats they would like to participate on, and we would pick the best verses to appear on that beat.
Okay, cool. That sounds dope, man.
Okay.
Definitely
Okay.
interested in that.
I will send you more information.
Cool, cool, cool. Appreciate it.
And bring this back to you. Um, Checking out your music while I'm gathering my notes. We can start off, actually, I don't think I actually have you tell us a bit of your experience performing live.
Oh, performing live? I don't
Hmm.
think we got into it. Yeah, live performing, that's a whole story in itself. So I started my first performance was well, I started in open mics. I think my first performance was after my second song. So the Flyaway song, the one we talked about earlier. So
Mm,
prior to us putting out Vibes, like the two songs I mentioned, the Chris and Tisha song, the Flyaway song, those were put out like almost as singles. We didn't know at the time, but they almost put out like like a singles before the album or the mixtape came out. So Chris and Tisha came out first. I got a little buzz. Then the next one was Fly Away, and that was like the one was like I felt super proud of it because like it was a song where like it was an original beat. Fly Away is oh sorry, not Fly Away. Chris and Tisha is like over the Do for Love Chris Tupac beat. So like it's not like an
mm,
original. It was kind of in the vein of a freestyle that really was formulated like a song. Fly Away was like original beat, found a producer, got a beat, um, wrote the verses, wrote the hook, had my friends sing it, which everybody loves, wrote the bridge. Like it was the first time I was like, okay, I made a full song. It wasn't just me putting verses together and being like, this is a song. It was like, this is a full body of work. So after that, again, my arrogance and my eagerness was like, told my friend Karsh, I was like, yo, we have to perform this shit. And he's like, where? And I was like, I don't know. But I was like, we have to figure it out. So obviously, as I always do, went to Google and I was like, like, what's the hottest open mic spots in the city? And everything kept leading me back to this place called the Norikins Poets Cafe, which is like in downtown Manhattan here in New York. Um, and it's like, sorry, it's like the most, I guess, famous open mic spot like in the city. Like, I don't know who's like come through there, but it seems like everybody that's ever wanted to rap that's been an artist, or even like if you're a singer or you play drums or whatever the fuck you do, like you can come, or you do comedy, like you can come here, have 5 minutes, have a set. The only thing is it's first come, first serve. So like you get like I think the doors open at like let's say they open at 7. People like line up at like 2 o'clock because like they only take the first 25 people. After that, you're just gonna be audience members. Like you're not gonna perform, right?
Mm.
Um, so I told my friend about it. I was like, yeah, we should go here, but we gotta get there early. So we went there, and of course, my luck, it was raining that day. I still remember this day. It was raining that day, and I think we had one umbrella, two men, two grown men, one umbrella. It's a weird situation because we got to share the shit. Um, and we're standing there online, and this is probably like, bro, it's probably like 4 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock, and the line is pretty long. Like we're counting this shit, and we're like, yo, I don't know if we're gonna make it in because I'm counting the people, and I'm like, yo, I think we might be 26. And
Mm.
he's like, word? And I'm like, yeah. But I'm like, let's stay because you never know. Somebody might drop out. So by the time they started letting people in, it didn't look like nobody was dropping out. So I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me we fucking did this. Mind you, I invited my friends, my people. Like, I'm like, niggas have to see me. Like, so everybody's expecting me to perform. Thankfully, thank God, I don't know, God was on my side. Like, I think one person in the line dropped out, like before, like as the line was moving. So I'm like, oh shit, we might be 25. We literally were 25. We got in, and at the time, had a freestyle I just did over. If anybody's heard the song, I'm sure people have heard the song. It's called "Feel" by Kendrick, um, on the Damn album. I did a freestyle over that beat. Love the freestyle. I said I'm gonna perform this. So went there, but I was like, I don't want to do like I want to do a cappella because in my head I was like, if I play the beat, I feel like people are gonna get fixated with it. Nobody knows who the fuck I am. People gonna, when you perform too, like when nobody knows you, people just look up at you and just like, especially in New York, like they might. I think anywhere else, people might just look up at you like this, but in New York, like niggas will like cross their arms and look at you like this, like just pure judgment. But it doesn't mean they hate you. It just means they trying to figure you out, right? So I get up there.
Mm.
It's not even a high stage. It's like a low stage. And I was like, I just want to do it a cappella so people could hear my voice and like determine like, yo, are you trash or are you good? Like, can you rap or can you not? So I did it. It was a lot to rap too. It wasn't like one of those like 16 bar freestyles. Like it basically was like two verses, two like 24 bar verses or whatever. Um, did it, was super nervous, not like nervous to be in front of people because like that never bothers me, but just like, and these nerves have kind of stayed with me as I perform. Like in the future, was like, I just want to make sure I remember my words and perform it the
Mm.
way like I expect to perform it. Did the freestyle and people clap. So like to me, I was like, okay, I guess I might not be trash. Um, and we did a couple of open mics, but eventually, which we ended up doing more. But the first real show we did was there was this promoter. His name was Evan Biss. He was doing stuff for like this company called Major Stage, which I'm sure people might be familiar with. And they kind of find like new artists, people that people don't know too much, like to open up for more known artists. Like I remember one time I got an offer to open up for but I don't remember his name, but like Joey Badass had just signed some new artist to like his Pro Era label or some shit. And they asked me if I wanted to perform, like to open up for him or whatever. But the first show we did with the company was at this place called the Paper Box. I think it's not, it doesn't exist anymore. It's in like Brooklyn. Um, and we went there. This was like the first club. So like this was like a, mind you, at the time I'm 20. I'm not even old enough to be in this club. Like I can't be in here unless I'm performing. Like I literally had to like, I think there was like a thing they gave me to be like, just so people could know like, yo, I know he's performing here, but don't give him liquor. Like he can't drink.
Mm.
Um, so we went in the club and I was the first person. It was like one of those like almost like mad artists. You got 20 artists performing type of things. And I was the first person of all 20. Like they opened the doors, everybody came in. First dude coming to the stage, Austin Steele. Nobody knows who the fuck I am. I get on stage, I'm like, I'm gonna do Fly Away. So I do Fly Away. Um, I was super like I wasn't nervous because again at that point like I had so much of a I don't give a fuck attitude. I was like, well, either they're gonna boo me or whatever, but I'm gonna perform it. So I did the song
Mm,
and they didn't boo me. They cheered me, like they clapped. And I was like, wow. Like it was my again, it was like another indication of like because again, along this way, like you do music, like I know everybody thinks they're fire, but you don't know you're fire until people that don't know you tell you you're good, you know? So
mm,
the fact that I got applause was like, okay, I guess I'm doing like it was validation to be like continue going. And just so everybody knows, like it wasn't like niggas was just being nice to me that day. Three performers after me, some dude got on stage, no bullshit, whole ninja outfit. He had like the little fake samurai sword, everything. And he started performing and they booed the shit out of him to the point where somebody was like, yo, get the fuck off the stage. Like they just like somebody yelled that out from the crowd. So just so people know, like it wasn't like a, oh, they were supportive crowd. Like this was people coming like to a club to drink, watch people perform, and like if they like I think after the show it was gonna be like a whole party or whatever. So these
mm.
people were just here to have like a good time. Like, and this wasn't like one of those clubs where it's like, you are only the dudes that like rap and underground rap. Like, there was some bitches in the show. Like, there was like it was like people
Mm.
there to just have
That's like
fun.
an
And
underground spot.
yeah, like it was like an
Like,
underground kind of like if you knew you knew type of spot, but like it wasn't there. Like people weren't just there just to be like, I want to hear rap music. Like people were there to have fun and drink. I remember even when I got off stage, and I didn't take it no way, but I remember this one dude came up to me. He was an artist, and he was like, "Yo, that song you performed, that shit touched me, yo." Mind you, the dude mad bigger than me, so he bending down talking to me. He's like, "Yo," he's like, he's like, "I love that song you did," but he was like, "Yeah, I just want to give you advice." Mind you, it's like, why am I going to take advice from you? Well, pretty much on the same level. But he was like, I just want you to know, like, even though I love that song, like, people here, like, they hear the drink and like they hear the vibe and like people don't want to get into their feelings too much, like when they're drinking, like which I never took the advice, but I did always think about that in terms of like my future performances of being like, you know basically his like advice to me was like, yo, like you should perform some turn up shit, or you should perform something that makes people feel energetic and not introspectively
mm,
thinking about themselves. So I was like, I was like, that's interesting. So I did take a little bit of that with me when I went on to future shows, but I learned over time like sometimes you have to just come as you are. Like
mm.
I have songs that are more upbeat, but like at the end of the day, sometimes if you want to perform what you want to perform, especially on this level, just perform it. Perform your best shit. Perform what you're confident in. Like, don't. And trust me, I have songs that like people love that like I think are great too, but I don't love it as much as other people love it. Like, it's funny
It all
that some
depends
of
on the factor.
yeah, like some of the songs that people loved were the easiest songs to write, and it wasn't a songs that like it wasn't a fly away that took me a day and a half of sitting in my bedroom and not moving to write. It was like 15 minutes, I'm done. We'll see how this goes. And uh music is funny like that, life is funny like that. But yeah, performing is that was my first real performance, and I've done a few after that I've been fortunate to do, but I like performing. It's the best part of
Mm.
probably making music, just seeing people's reactions.
No, that's an interesting, story. I would definitely like to see, your behind the scenes,
Oh
capturing your
yeah.
journey, just being an artist.
Yeah, I
Um,
gotta I gotta post those things, man.
because events like this, like to other people, it's all about experience. So some people could relate to this, or some people could desire this. Like for
Yeah.
example, like right now, people are hungry for more music, but the way how we go about getting new music is no longer a tradition. Like for example, radio station. That was for from when we was growing up. The radio station was a tradition to get new music, but now we don't rely on that. It's all about apps. And the
Yeah.
problem with that is you don't necessarily, or maybe we became more lazy to find new music, but there is a talk in the town that people are demanding new music. So just to hear about, like, hey, there's a spot I can go to that I can just vibe out and just be to listen to some new music or find new artists or whatever fuck. You know. So it's a world for everybody. So just to be able to see that bit of a journey, or just to be able to hear about it too, that opened up the door. And then when it came to the conversation of, of what the guy that, talk about, like, people don't want to, be in their feelings. I think it was also depending on the environment. If I
Yeah.
go to a place that, let's say, mostly, like a rave or some shit. Actually, it all depends on the vibe and the environment itself. If the people mostly known there to be turned up or whatever fuck on a Tuesday or some shit, all right, probably not gonna play. I probably play like one, depending on my time frame that I get to perform. I play like one sad song if I'm promoting it or whatever fuck, but mostly it's gonna be shit that get you hyper. But if I'm at a rave or something, like shit like that, people's influence on drugs or liquor or whatever fuck, that's the best moment to pull something out because your bitch
Mm.
ass can't do this over. So,
Yeah. For
so
sure.
at
Yeah.
that type of events, when it comes to rave, being in that type of feeling and amongst other people, is a good harmony. That's the best. So it all depends, especially your audience too. So when you build up your audience, and it all depends on how you want to build up your audience. If you want to build up, people to be open for that or to be ready to take whatever the fuck you want to give out at that moment. Because at the same time, I think it's up to the artist itself. Who the fuck
Yeah.
is we as the listeners to judge? Hey, you should paint this first, or whatever the fuck. You should present it to me like this first before you showcase anything else. Like, no, you're the artist. You know, so I think it's also up to the artist to be their self to express that because that's how we get to see new shit. If you
No, for
start
sure.
programming, your mindset of like, oh, I want to present this way, you are more likely to be similar to someone else. But when it comes to the rawness, or especially when shit explode, it's typically the song that people were just expressing and put too much, thought into it. But like I said, it's all depending on the environment. But I did like to hear that perspective from you.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree with you too.
So bringing it to your music, checking out your music. I was listening for the past hour. I listened to about 15 songs, and
No, thank you,
out
man.
of
Thank you.
15, there's one song out of 15 that personally is my favorite, just being a first time listener. And then there's seven songs, that's not including the first one, that's grown on me out of 15.
Okay.
Which one are you curious about?
I'm totally taking a guess, but I feel like the favorite, and you can obviously tell me if I'm wrong, is the favorite die?
Favorite die?
Yeah, is that the favorite or no?
No. I
Oh.
actually thought you was gonna say Fly Away because you just said amongst
Oh no.
typical
It'd be
listeners.
funny if it is. That'd be some shit, right? You'd be
And I
like,
was
damn.
excited to say it at first, but then when I was hearing you, like, I was like,
Oh, it
maybe
is
I should
fly
just
away?
keep.
Oh man.
I was like,
I don't
maybe I should just keep this to myself.
Oh no, 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 you good. It's funny. I feel like I give people the impression like, oh, I don't think he fucked with that song. It's not that. It's just I appreciate anybody that like loves the song because I love the song too. Like obviously that's why I made it.
Mm,
Like, it just always is like a fun because again, like I'm a very serious, unserious person. So like
mm.
it like I like the irony and the like. Just it's funny to me that like I put so much into the song and people's like he was always like, yeah, but the way that girl sung on that shit, and I'm just like, but it's like, how could I hate? I wrote the shit. Like I knew it was gonna be
Mm.
good, and I picked her to sing it, so like I knew she was the perfect person to do it. But no, I always tell people like to me, it's like the whole project to me is like not classic in terms of like, it's not a classic. A lot of people don't know it exists, but um,
As
it's
of yet.
a yeah, exactly. But it's a to me, it's a personal classic. Like it's one of those songs that like it was done in a bedroom, what not with the best equipment, not with the most years of experience under anybody's belt. It literally was the second song I ever recorded in my life. Like it was, but it's so special. And even today, like with all of its flaws, maybe somebody could say. Like it has a feeling attached to it that like I can't really explain. And like that makes me super proud of it. So no, honestly, anything, and then again, anything that people's like listen to and they're like, I like that, like I'm super appreciative. So like again, I thank you for listening to those songs and getting to that song and that being the favorite, even if it's, even if I come here and I be like, nah, nigga should have been like, nah, verses though.
No, I
It's
feel it.
definitely a great song.
I
Yeah.
actually enjoyed the full song, so I enjoyed both the collaboration.
Thank
Um,
you.
and actually, no, the part that I was pointing out. So typically, when I'm listening to it, I'm just the type of person that I like to stand out. So typically, I'd be picking songs that I'm like, huh, I don't want to, pick a song and be like, oh, this is typically everybody's favorite. I'm like, damn, I feel like a basic bitch. But if I pick a song that you're surprised about,
Word.
so that's what
Yeah.
I would say. But to me, just being a first time listener, just stand out to me, the most. Just being a first
Mm.
time. Um, and then there were seven other songs that's grown on me. I feel like if I listened to it more, it could probably take up that first spot, or it would add up to it. But being a first time listener, Fly Away was, the song that stand out to me most. I was like, as soon as I listened to it, I was like, oh, this is a radio hit. I would
Yeah.
personally put this on
No, for sure. Like I remember that we had that spinning too on college radio. I didn't mention this too. Like I had a college radio show like when I was in college. Because for a second I thought I was gonna be like Charlamagne the God. Like I literally thought I was gonna do radio. I've had a million lives like within my 28 years. Um, so the biggest mistake ever was them giving me a show because I used to play that shit all the time. Like if I
radio.
have an hour, I'm gonna play my music and we were able to get to play on a few different college radio stations like in New York. So it definitely like I had that same thought like when I made the song. Like I was like, if I put this on the radio too, like this is if I've ever made a radio song, it's Fly Away for sure. So
Smart,
I agree with your assessment.
smart,
Yeah.
smart. Um, I definitely agree. And, yeah, you definitely didn't mention, he was also, what was your responsibility? He was a radio host.
Oh yeah, it was they was like it was part of like basically I was a radio host. Like it was part of like a class we had in college. It was like a radio class and like because I was the my professor, she like was like the program director for the station. It was WHCR 90.3 Harlem, some shit like that. Um, and I think she just was like, Austin, you have a good voice, like for radio. Like, do you want to do radio? And I was like, yeah. So, like, everybody in the class didn't have their own show. She kind of had to like think you had some type of talent. So she was like, well, if you want, I can give you an hour. I think it was 2 days out the week. So maybe like Tuesdays and Thursdays. Um, and like literally, like the show wasn't just me playing music; it was literally me just talking shit, which is like outside of making music is my favorite thing to do in life is just talk shit. That's why
Mm.
like things like this interview was like super dope to me. Like these are the things that like in my head I was like, I can't wait to do these things as a musician. Outside of doing music, like I can't wait to do interviews and um press and just have conversations with people. So like it's cool to and again super appreciative to be here. Um but yeah, I spent an hour just talking shit on the radio and getting people mad and telling people that they was hoes and their relationships was gonna end and like all types of crazy shit. Like I just had a time in my life and in between breaks I'd play my music and sprinkle in like other songs that like I really enjoyed at the time. But like it was like a thing that lasted for like a semester. But it was pretty hot. It was called Real Talk. That was like the name of the show. Which has its own story of how I got that name for the show. But yeah, definitely that was my little time spent on the radio,
Is
being
there
a
any
host.
recording of it
Oh
that's still
yeah,
up?
it's like yeah, it's still up. I'd have to check their website. I used to post on their website. I definitely still have like the audio clips of it in my like computer. But yeah, I used to somebody told me like one day like record everything you do here because you never know. Um and like it was like it was entertaining. It was a little t more tame than I would have liked because it's the radio. Certain things you can't say, right? On the radio, but it definitely. I used to like
Especially
I'm not.
what year?
This was I
Because
was like I
this
was
was
a.
like
It's probably
2000 and like
this like
14.
20. This is like 2015, 16.
Oh yeah, that's what the whole
Yeah,
PG era. Yeah, we
yeah.
was
You
in a
could
whole
have.
PG era with that. Nope,
They used to literally
that rock.
call my professor, the program director, and be like, "Yo, who is that?" Like I didn't know this was a real thing because like it's college. You think this is not a real station, but like it really was. Like people would call and be like, "Yo, he's wilding." Like who is that? Like why is he saying these things? 'Cause I never curse, but like I'm again as a writer, a rapper, I'm really good with words, so I'd find clever ways to say things like I wouldn't call you a hoe directly, but I'd say that you slept with more people that's been allowed on the NBA floor. Like I'd say things
Mm-hmm.
like that, and people would be like, "Yeah, he can't be saying shit like that." So,
Ah,
but my professor rolled for me, so like she never told me like stop what you're doing. She was just like, as long as you don't curse, I don't care. Like she's like, if anything, I love it. She's
bro,
like, it's mad entertaining. So it definitely was a fun
that's fun.
time.
Shout
Yeah.
out to her, and she know real she know real worth and value. Shout out to her.
And she was
Um,
black because I've shouted out too many white people since we've been here. But
yeah.
she was a black woman, Professor Harden. So wherever she is, shout out to her.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. Uh, and now we in an age where like YouTube is really big now. Like Joe Budden got his own podcast. He moved it on to
hmm
YouTube, those platforms and stuff. So I am curious, like, do you have your own interests to continue that, or will you ever come back to something similar to that?
To like the podcast radio type of thing.
Mm,
Um, I this interest there is definitely is like again it was the whole thing of having a million lives before music. I didn't mention this, but before music. My because maybe my dream has always just to be famous and get rich. So before music, my goal before then was I could be a YouTuber. So I used to have a YouTube show with my friend, one of my friends. It was another situation, me convincing my friend to do something that wasn't natural to them, but for my own benefit. Because this my friend, like he's a great person, but he's not like an on-camera person. Like he's very to himself. Even though we'd have great private conversations, so I was like, we could as long as we put a camera here, like this would be great.
mm-hmm.
So we used to do that. Those episodes are still like they're private on YouTube right now, so they're not there, but I could always make them public. Um, because he started doing real estate, so he was like, "Oh, I don't know about that," but like in my head, I'm just like, nobody knows who the fuck you are. Who cares?
What?
Um,
You
but
ever heard of V2?
V2, what's that?
That's like where people take these like little animated characters. So instead of showcasing like, they hide their identity behind these avatars, basically.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
basically what V2 is. So I like if
Okay.
you just want to cut the corner and be anonymous, shit. Like the money
Oh
is there.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm.
yeah. But I realized too, like with him, like honestly, like through the experience, that this is something I've learned about life is like you can't really like the saying of like you can lead somebody to water, but you can't make them drink it, like that type of thing. You can't
No, I'm
really.
saying for you.
Oh
Uh,
no, no, no. I'm perfect. I'm cool with it.
okay.
Like I don't again, like I'm a little bit of an attention whore anyway. I feel like you kind of
Okay.
have to be an artist. So like I don't mind like my identity being there. I think he just had an issue with it.
Okay.
Because we were on camera. But I'll probably again, it's one of those things I'll probably make public at some point. But to answer your question, yes, the interest is there. Um I just feel like it's a lot to do with the music right now, but I would like to at some point, if I got to a place where like I felt very um confident in what I've done with the music, I'd like to circle back to that at some point. But I feel like that it's something that like you mentioned Joe Budden, like he basically did at the end of his music career. Like I can see myself potentially doing something like that or doing it, later down the line because I feel like my my, at least from my perspective, I think the engaging conversation talent that I think I have, like I think that is something that is probably only going to get better with with age and as I get older. So I think it's something I could always probably circle back to, but it's not a priority right now, you know. But
No
we'll
problem.
see. Yeah.
No problem. So out of the songs that's growing on me at the moment, there's 7 out of 15 that I listen to.
Okay.
Uh, do you want me to give you all at once or one at a time?
Let's do one at a time. But I like that ratio. 7 out of 15. That's pretty good.
The first one, Die.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was like, you know, I was that's what Dot was like my first guess only because it's not Fly Away, but like in a different way, it kind of gives the same feeling of Fly Away. Like there's something very raw and like vulnerable
Mm,
about it that, you know, every time you go into the booth or you try to make one of these songs, like that's the thing about music, like Die wasn't like that wasn't some of it's calculated, right? Like it's like you're naming the song "Die," like the subject matter is there. Um,
mm,
but you know, every time you go in, like you're trying to accomplish what you have in your head, and like that is like the hardest thing to do. And over time, you get better at getting to that point. Um, and I feel like with Fly Away, with Die, those were two attempts that I made that got very close to what I envisioned when it was finished. Like it had everything there, and it's a short song, which I think today feeds the um you know like the people's short attention spans. Like it's not a long song. It's a chorus. It's a verse. And it's back to the hook, right? So but it's one of those like it's in and out, but it's so you feel it to me. So like it's definitely a song that like I was super happy that I made at the time, and I'm still happy about it. And it's if I ever had anything go viral, at least for me, it was Die. Like Die was the first thing that on Instagram got like over 50K views on a reel or something like that. And it's literally just me. It honestly, it's the funniest shit in the world. It's literally me just sitting on the couch, looking in the camera, lip singing the song. There's nothing special about this video. There's nothing like you would think that's like super engaging about this video. Maybe it's just like the look and expression on my face, but like I remember I posted it one day just quickly after work and it literally just started taking off. And since that moment, like I still can't figure out why it did so well, but maybe right place, right time. I don't know, but it definitely was it's one of my more popular ones with people. So I'm not surprised by that. But I'm talking mad much about the song, but like I'd like to hear
mm.
like from your perspective on the song since it's a grower to you.
So, like I said, just being a first time listener, I was just being a listener. But on the second time you come on the podcast, I would be breaking down your song more, and I would do a ranking out of
Okay.
the catalog. But just to keep it in simple terms, I think in I think I like the message that was behind the song. That really like got me intrigued. I think the story part, I mean the storytelling that you do on your part really stands out, especially on like songs on like Die or Fly Away. Uh, I was really able to like get. I think it just really like caught my attention, and then it just so happened that the beat too was pretty intriguing. Um,
Mm,
so I think
thank you,
that
man.
no, you're welcome. It's well deserved. Um, so to me, being a first time listener, that was just really, I was really, it made me want to hit the replay button. Um, I would say that it definitely made me want to hit the replay
Great. Appreciate it. We definitely like hearing that.
button. And did you say what inspired that song?
I didn't. Die came about. It was really just the way I was feeling at the time. Also, it's kind of like a shock value thing because like I say in the song constantly, like, I don't want to die, die, die. Like, I don't, 'cause I don't want people to think like, oh, Austin's suicidal. Like, trust me, I love me. I don't want to go. Um, but it's, I think that I get very, not, again, not, you can't see it. I think I have a pretty good poker face, but I get very introspective about myself, like outside of music, just me as a person. So I can't run from that in the music, and it definitely was how I was feeling at the time. I definitely wanted to rap well, and I spent a lot of time on my verses, like just figuring out how to. My goal is always the message. I want you to feel it, but I also want to have the respect that somebody could hear and be like, "Oh yeah, he's nice. Like he knows what he's doing, like rap wise." But yeah, that's just that. Honestly, it was just how I was feeling that day, and hooks and melodies come pretty easy to me. So I had the hook and melody literally. Like that song took maybe a year to write because I had the. It's a short song too, so it's funny, right? But like I had the hook and the melody for like a year, and I had verses, and anytime I wrote it, it felt inauthentic. So I was like, how do I write this to make it authentic to me? Like, how do I describe this feeling in such a short amount of time? Um, so during that time, like this is before I got to the media job too, like when the song was made. So like 20, this is like pandemic. Um, and that's just how I felt. Like I had no job. I was pretty down in life. I had bills I couldn't afford. I was entering the point of my life of being a real adult and coming out of that part of college of being like, okay, I'm a kid. I have, financial aid. I'm pretty well taken care of. And now I'm like, I have no job. I have bills. I had a girlfriend. Like I'm trying to figure out how to get to that next level. And I still have to invest the little money I have into making the music now because I'm by myself. So it was just the culmination of all those feelings and being like, okay, let's express this in a way that's palatable musically. And that's how Die came about. So it's definitely a song that I always will look back on because everything it gave me, but definitely like it was, it was an accurate description of how I felt at the time. So that was the inspiration of the song. Life was the inspiration of Die, which is like that's a bar too. Life, die, like I like just the you know the thing of it. But yeah,
Shout out to that.
yeah,
Okay. Next song that I have, Love You. That's
love
the
you.
next song that's dropping.
Ooh, that's a good. Ooh, I like that. I like that pick. I like that pick. Love you. Honestly, love you was one of those that like I was pretty mad about. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's one of those songs that like when I made it, like it's kind of like a drill beat. So it's not my typical type of beat that I'd pick, but like at the time I was trying to find like I wanted to challenge myself. I felt like a lot of my early work was like it was me being comfortable, but it also was me showing a little bit of my influences, if that makes sense. Like I have songs that like feel like attempts at being J. Cole, if that makes sense. Or I have songs that feel like attempts at being Drake. Not because like I wanted to be those people, but like yeah, as you're learning and figuring out who you want to be, you have to imitate the people that have inspired you in a way until you figure it out for yourself and find your own voice. So Love You was like, okay, let me now. I don't want to be moody, but I want to bar up, but I also want to like tell a story, which I feel like the first verse, I feel like people hear that shit. Like it's a easy song to get lost in the bop because it has a bop to it and it has a pace to it. But like one, I feel like I'm really rapping, and then two, like that first verse is a story. Like just, about like being like kind of this is a terrible way to say it, but being like the side piece of the situation, like I'm the
Hmm.
side dude in this situation, and you have which is again based off of real life of being like, yeah, I have feelings for this girl, but she's with somebody else, and like maybe we're both doing shit that we're not supposed to do, but that's your feelings are there, so that's what the song is about. But it's a song that I got mad at because I was like when I put it out, it was the first song like I really tried to promote hard and like. for a few reasons, but I was like, I feel like the song hasn't gotten the audience. It was one of the first times I felt like this deserves more of a audience than it's gotten. Which I realized over time, like when people find you, they'll go back, like you, for example, like, hopefully like you listen to it and you're like, oh, maybe I'll listen to it again. And then at some point you're like, oh, I like the song. Like that might happen and that things happen organically like that. But no, Love You is just me trying to tell a story and rap my ass off and try to make a bop and a vibe for people. And it's one of my I like the song. Like I'm proud of the song, and I just hope one day it finds the audience that I think it deserves.
No, real shit. And
Yeah,
like I be telling everybody, to the whole world see it, I would recommend keep sharing it. Like even with
yeah,
Kendrick to the Super Bowl, even his biggest hits, the whole world still haven't listened to it. So right now, because of the Super Bowl, he got opportunity to get seen. Now people start going to this catalog. So I would recommend keep promoting it and take advantage of use your marketing tools too. So you got
mm,
certain songs that's about love and shit. Take advantage of reposting it with like certain medias and shit. Like a movie that's coming out, like like for example, like Mrs. Smith or some shit. Um,
mm. I like that.
you know,
Yeah,
yeah. Take advantage of that because like with so much shit that's coming out on the internet, it's hard to it's hard to get seen now. Especially on certain platforms, like for example, like Instagram, Facebook. They about to you know program to add in like AI entertainers. So
yeah.
it's yeah. Oh, you heard of
Yeah, I heard of it. I trust me.
it?
I got a super beef with Meta. Like that's like a whole it's a whole nother story in itself. But yeah, like as for artists, like that's why it's funny that we've kind of found each other on TikTok because TikTok has become what Instagram was to me when I first started music. Like
Hmm.
sometimes the fun is like the thing that's cool about making music is the discovery portion. And I feel like Instagram has turned it into or Meta in general, but like I feel like Facebook is kind of like, but at least Instagram it's turned into like you have to pay for it, It's like
Hmm.
there's no organicness to it and um I feel like initially Insta like the best part was like, oh my God, somebody new found me and like that early part of my early career still, right, is there was a lot of discovery, like vibes, the diary, like around that time, like there was a lot of discovery, and there's a period of time where like there's space there because like I wasn't, making as producing as much music as I wanted to, but also like it was hard to find people, and I think TikTok, which again, me being an old nigga hater, like I was like. TikTok is like, what the fuck is the kids dancing? Like, I'm not gonna get on TikTok. Like, so me finally getting on TikTok and realizing like, oh no, it's not a bad place. Oh, actually, it's helping you organically find people. Like, oh, this is actually the part of music you loved was obviously because like, it's great to make a song, but it's like if nobody hears it, it's just some
Hmm.
shit for you. So, um, yeah, so yeah, Meta, whatever, like, it is what it is. But I still am on it, obviously, but like it's not. I wouldn't say it's been top priority to me just because like sometimes it feels like you're posting to an open sea and there's nobody to see you drowning. Like it's just
Yeah.
there and it's not really as beneficial to you unless you know what you're doing and you're willing to pay to get that audience, which I work in media, so like I shouldn't be shocked that that's the way it's gonna
Hmm.
be. Yeah.
But the thing is, you experienced it, when it first started.
Yeah.
When Instagram first came out, it was really it didn't really have much of from my understanding at first, it didn't really have much of a search option, like at least when it came
Mm.
to like Facebook. I mean,
Hmm.
MySpace was like really the standard, but by the time Facebook came down, it was more it kind of dumbed it down, make it more family friendly. So it was more
Yeah.
about your inner circles and shit like that.
Yeah.
But Instagram did open up the door that hey, you can have such as a following base, you know almost on towards on some celebrity shit. Um,
Yeah, it was great. It was great in the beginning. Like, I don't know. So that's another thing too. Like, I kind of beat myself up sometimes to be like, damn, I should have popped off like back then because I didn't realize, if I had the crystal ball, I would have been like, it would have been much easier back then because it just felt like it was there for you. And now it kind of feels like you really have to. It's more, you know what it is? It's more, it's the AI, it's the algorithm, it's all those things, but it's more, it's like the pool got super crowded, like we all are swimming, and maybe back then, maybe it was like 20 people swimming here. Like, at least it felt that way. And now it feels like all of the Bronx is swimming in our pool. Like, it is just
mm,
packed. And it just feels like obviously you're fighting for attention, and now it feels like back then you kind of could post a song and it was like, okay, I'll listen to the song. Like I don't need the extra shit. Like, let me hear the song. Now it's about the extra shit. And then the
yeah,
song comes second. So in that way, it's like, it kind of makes you lose your love of it. But if you want to, always tell people like if you want to be an artist, you can't go back. You have to play in the field you're in now. So figure it out, there's no
mm,
other we could cry about it, but it's like no, you gotta figure it out. And if you're really who you think you are, you'll bust through. So it is what it is. So I'll keep working on it. But no, we could spend hours talking about that. I have so many thoughts about
mm.
that.
No, I definitely agree. I would
Yeah.
just ended off saying this. I would say I definitely agree. There was an opportunity that probably could be missed. Uh, but at the same time, we talk about, opportunities, 10 years ago was to go to a label. And, we was all made to believe that, once you go to a label, it's only up from there, you know.
Mm,
But now we living in an era where damn near everybody want to become independent because we're seeing the outcome of like going to sign your, to a label. Like even like for example, I just learned about the deal. Like 80 or like 90%, you know, they take away to sign away your royalties or rights to the songs and
yeah.
shit. I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
crazy.
damn, like what part of this sound good?
Right. For real though. For real, honestly. For real.
So
Crazy.
so now we live in an era where like, information is all out there. But I will say this is probably the best time ever. Like even though there's a lot of people out here, the only thing is we're just a fish, swimming. But we need a pond. And right now there's no pond for us to swim in because we don't
Mm,
have no MTV. We don't have well, at least to what we've seen so far, there's no success to go to a label. So, it's like, yo, who is gonna, be the next platform to uplift, you know, all these, artists, these entertainers? Because at the end of the day, to run a country, you need entertainment. And if your
no, for
country
sure.
born as shit, yeah, I'm guaranteed that either this
Yeah.
generation or the next generation gonna want to leave and go somewhere where they're gonna find good entertainment. So y'all are needed. It just y'all
Yeah.
need a platform to showcase y'all shit. So,
Mm, for
um,
real. Yeah.
and I think what Kendrick performance really show us, we need a global audience. Um, so yeah, definitely keep building up your fan base, and I would definitely say try your music overseas. A lot of people be getting better results. Even for example, me, one place that's picking up, from my surprise, is China. Apparently, China
Yeah.
is fucking with my type of content, and I'm really surprised about that.
Yeah.
But
You never
e-
know. Yeah.
Germany, Canada, uh, and I think Ukraine too. So like, yeah, like you really don't know. It's just you gotta present your art to the world, and as long as you keep being expressive and continue down that path of being yourself, I think you're gonna catch the right audience. And I'd really be interested, to see like who you connect with overseas.
Yeah. Me too. Me here. Me too. Definitely. I definitely agree. And yeah, I'm curious. So I'm definitely gonna look at my analytics, figure it out. Um, but yeah, keep putting myself out there and see what happens.
The next song I got for you, Vibrant Things.
Ooh. Oh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. You know what's a good pick? Okay, so I feel like I'll be, as I'm talking to you, like I'll be remembering things 'cause I'm getting old. Vibrant Thing was, that might have been a third song. I think that's the third song I ever did. So after Fly Away, this again, these were all technically singles to the Vibes project. And this, I think this was the last single. Like after that, we put the project out. But Vibrant Thing was, first off, it was my best streamed Apple song for like, it's still up there, but like for the longest time. Um, and it's just, I don't know. It was just, so, okay, so most of the beats on the project was produced by this guy from Canada. I'm gonna fuck up his name. Electrics or something like that. Some white dude, like, and he literally just found me on Instagram. This is like, I think this is when I was still doing freestyles. He was like, "Yo, you're dope. Like, I'm a producer. Can I send you stuff?" At this time, I'm just rapping over other people's, famous people beats. So like, I don't have a sound. He sent me beats, and at this point, I'd gotten accustomed to people finding me, sending me beats, and me having to be like, it's not really, I don't like it, or it's trash. I don't want to use it. So I'm expecting his shit to be trash. Like, this is gonna be garbage. So I play his
Mm,
beats. He sent me like a folder, it was like a pack of 20, and I'd never heard any beats that sounded like at least to me. The closest thing I could think to it was like, and now that I think back on it, it had that Toronto, moody, The Weeknd, Drake type of feeling. Like it had that. So I wasn't shocked that the dude is literally from Toronto. Um, it had like almost a Drake, if you're reading this is too late vibe a little bit, but like it was just very weird and unorthodox and like but I loved it. I was like, I've never heard, and I was so focused on the time, like, I don't want to sound like anybody, even though I probably did. I didn't want to. So I was like, I want to pick beats that don't sound like anything. So he gave me 20 beats. I picked six from the 20. I said, let me get these six. Um, I think all of them made the project, or at least five of them did. But one of the beats was Vibrant Thing. And Vibrant Thing was like, again, that kind of came from the hook, at least came from like it was like a play off of the Q-Tip song, like Vibrant Thing. Like, it was like, let me say Vibrant Thing. And then obviously the song is about or my relationship with some girl in high school. And like, we had a very unique relationship. Like we weren't together, but like back to I think the side piece dude thing is a theme in my career. I played that role a few times,
mm,
especially in my earlier years. And it was just a joint. Like I was like, yo, this is hot. And like I know when we did the second verse, as you've heard, like it has that point where it goes like vibrant thing. Like my voice kind of like skips, and that came from like us recording it and me being like, we need to do something. Like we should do some DJ type shit. And I talked about it with my friend who was my engineer at the time. And we was like, let's kind of cut up the vocals a little bit and like let's figure something out. And when we did that, man, we was in his apartment like just lit, like, yo, we're out of here. Like we thought it was the craziest shit in the world to us. Um, and again, it was one of those songs that like it was one of those songs that like everybody liked it when they heard it, and I was definitely happy because like the girl who the song is about, she heard it. And one day I actually like met up with her after the song came out. And I didn't again at this point we had lost communication for a while. So like I didn't know if she ever heard the song. So when I finally met up with her years later, like this is after the song had come out, and she's like, people told me you made a song about me. I'm like, oh
mm,
shit. I'm like, she heard this shit? Like, and she's like, you play it for me? I'm like, is this a setup? But like, she wasn't mad about it. Like she was super like in awe, kind of like almost like I know you're gonna be. Because girls give you that gas all the time, but they're like, "Oh, I know you're gonna be famous. I know you'll make it. Like you have it. Like all types of shit." But it's a great song. It's one of those songs that like I wish I did it today. Almost like it's a good song. Like I don't have anything else to add to it. It's a good song. So I'm happy you picked that one. Like I'm happy about that one.
Shout out to that. And I would
Yeah.
definitely say I made the right call on the decision. I was listening to the vibrant thing, the hook or the melody that I was hearing
Hmm.
at first. And when it came back around the second time, I was like, all right, this might get a bit annoying if I keep hearing this
Yeah, yeah.
fucking
No, for sure.
melody. And
Yeah.
then when it came with a mix and everything, I was like, oh shit, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I can vibe with this. All right, it's switching
Yeah.
up. So I would definitely say, yeah, that was the right call for it. And I think that what helped me decide that it was like, yeah, this make me want to replay it again,
Mm,
midnight. Um, so I definitely enjoy it. I think it's definitely a vibe.
yeah.
Um, but that's cool to hear, what goes on behind making a song and, how artists, feel about it. Because like a lot of times I'll be getting, the songs that they, be worried about or they be questioning and everything. It's typically the songs that I typically, I find myself growing towards, and I'm a sucker for melody too. So
Yeah,
that's the.
for sure. As am I. Sure.
So the next one will be Spanish Harlem.
Oh, and there's the story with this. I have a story for everyone. And yeah, if I ever get too long-winded, just tell me Austin stop. But
No, it's cool.
The Spanish Harlem song. Okay, so this song, again, these are a lot of these songs that you're picking, with the exception of Die. These are like very early songs. Spanish Harlem was the first song that came out after Vibes. Now, at this point, we had built up like somewhat of a following. People were kind of like jacking our shit. So like they were anticipating what was next. And Spanish Harlem was an interesting point because I found the beat, and again, like I mentioned, I went to school in Harlem. And there's a section in Harlem called Spanish Harlem. Obviously, it's like Harlem is mostly black people, and Spanish Harlem got a lot of Hispanic people. And I was just having the time of my life in Spanish Harlem. So like it really was just a song of me wanting to talk about my love and appreciation for this place that feels like my second home now. But it was a little bit of a detour from like what we did on Vibes. I think what people expected me to be was not what they heard on Spanish Harlem, if that makes sense. So when the song
Hmm.
came out, it was the first time I got mixed reactions to a song. Before it was all love. So this was the first time people kind of looked at me and said, "What the fuck is this?" Like it was that type of thing. And like it was the first time me being like defensive about shit because people nobody told me the song was trash, but they was like, you're singing now. You are, which again, it was a very ambitious song for me to do at the time, but people are like, you're singing now. I got a lot of shit from women about I think it was the second verse, maybe it was the first verse, I think. The part where I was like, if I scramble your eggs in the morning, I want you cleaning these dishes. Like, it just funny shit. Like things that like as a rapper, I was like, I have to do it. But like I got women telling me this is misogynistic, all types of shit. So it was the first time me being like, is this okay with me? Like, am I okay with accepting criticism from people? Like, it's not hate. Like, they're not like, oh, this is trash. It's just like, wasn't what they expected. I think people expected me to be a deep, introspective thinker on everything. And this was like the first time it was like, I don't know if I see it. And, when you think about it too, going back to like a song like, Vibrant Thing, like, the talk about relationships and women and having fun, like that was there. This was probably just the most blatant detour from it. But with all that being said, I liked the song. I liked the way I rapped on it. It was a bop. The only other story I think I could tell about it quickly was back to the performances was I did a show at the Delancey, so like downtown Manhattan. This was like probably at the time like the biggest club I'd done because at the time I used to watch people perform on Instagram at this place and I was like, I'm gonna perform there one day, and eventually I did. And I have a song in my catalog. I don't know if it's on the list, but I have a song in my catalog called Paranoid. And Paranoid and Spanish Harlem are completely opposite of each other if you listen to it, like just
Mm.
content and subject matter wise. And I at the time I wanted to perform the songs I wanted to perform. Like I got to the place of like I am confident in me and who I am, and I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do. So I had 10 minutes. I did three songs. I did Paranoid. I did this song called By Your Side, which is also another popular one for me. And I finished the set with Spanish Harlem. When I tell you they were fucking with me on Paranoid. Mind you, this goes back to what we talked about earlier, knowing your crowd. Obviously, beforehand, I didn't know who the fuck I was gonna perform in front of. But knowing your crowd, there was a lot of black people there that night. And obviously, like, I'm black. Like, I feel like I want my own people to like my music and identify with it, and I think they do. So Paranoid is very much in that vein. They was fucking with it. They probably thought I was Malcolm X up there. Like, they was like, this is it. Mind you, you can't see people because again, like the lights are shining on you. You can't really see, but I can make out like these are black people's my people. They're fucking with it. I
Mm.
do By Your Side. By Your Side is like a relationship joint. There's some singing on it. They still rocking with me. Mind you, I find out the playback from my friends because they were in the crowd. So they giving me the whole shit after the show. So I do the first two songs, they're with me. So you could imagine their shock when they were like, what the fuck is this? When I put Spanish Harlem on. I'm doing a song, I'm talking about my love for Spanish women, all types of shit. So I do the song and like nobody booed, like everybody clapped, but I think people were like they were just confused after. And I think as I definitely gained fans that day, but I probably gained some fans and then lost them in that set. Like because
Mm.
they just didn't understand the pivot. Um looking back on it, it probably wasn't the best set to put together. But with that being said, I still like the song. Would I make that song today? Probably not. But it's I still think it's a good song. It's a bop. Um I was happy that I was able to sing on it because I like singing. Even if I have no talent to sing, I'll try my best. And yeah, I love the song. So interesting choice, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And coming in and hitting you with the last one, uh, you could pick the number between 1 to 3, and between those numbers, I would give you a title. Uh, one of the songs uh, that was growing
Between
on.
1 to 3. Okay. Let's
Mm.
let's go with two.
2.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know.
Oh, this is now that's like the most interesting choice. So so at this point, this is after Vibes, this is after the Diary EP. This was like this was the stage I'd call figuring it out. I was trying to figure out like again, I'm super broke at this time. I barely have money to record. Um, and I'm also in the phase of trying to really become a better rapper. I never had an issue with my songwriting. I feel like I was always a great songwriter. Like I came out the gate with good songs. I feel like I can make a good song. But I started getting a little bit at the time, like, I feel like again, sometimes I think people listen to other people and they get enamored with things that aren't really substance. Like, like I have a thing about when people do like fast rapping, for example. Um,
Mm.
like it done tastefully, it makes sense, but like I feel like sometimes fast rapping, and I think anybody that raps knows this, like is honest, fast rapping sometimes is an excuse for I don't have bars. Or like I don't have anything to say. So I'm gonna say something super fast and people are gonna, because people again, it's sparkly, it's shiny, like, ooh, they did that. So I was at the point of being like, okay, I always felt like I was nice, but I was like, I just felt like people weren't giving me at the time the respect on that end, on the bars, the lyrical end that I wanted. And this was like, there was a list of songs I did at this time that like the covers of the songs are just colors. Cause I was like, this color describes how I feel. So I did So You Know. Um, and So You Know was just like a product. Like there's no backstory to it. It was just a product of like that time and me trying to basically practice every day and put things out. Like I think at that point I was literally putting out a song every week. Like all those songs came out like I think a week or within a week of each other. Um and it was one of those like I like the song. Again, I wouldn't say it's like one of those top tier songs that in my catalog so far, but it was a product of those practicing sessions. So you know, I thought it was catchy, but I thought also like I was like, oh, I'm rapping on this and I'm trying different flows, and I hope somebody likes it. So I appreciate that you found that, and it's become, or it could become a grower for you. So like I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's a super interesting thing.
No problem. It was definitely a journey. Listening to your music on shuffle, and seeing a bit of a different experience and era of your music presented.
Mhm.
Um, I definitely believe in your potential. Um,
Thank you.
I'm just curious to see where you going to take your music, to on your journey and how you're going to evolve your sound.
No, yeah, me too. And honestly, like so I almost hate that we have the interview now. I mean, hopefully at some point, we could do another one. But um I it's interesting because right now I'm in the process of making songs, and on TikTok I've promoted some of them, but I'm in the process of making songs that like I think I'm in the place now where like, this is the most accurate description of at least me right now. Like everything has been that, but like this is like I'm super proud of what I'm doing now and what I'm making, and I can't wait to put them out. 'Cause I think it's going to be me on the scale I've always kind of seen myself on. Like this will be like a next level scale. Like I have a song called Essence that I've promoted a few times, but it's not out. But it's fire. Like I have a song I'm working on, a few songs. Like I'm kind of working on a project, but um they are like I think it's the best parts of what people liked about Vibes, and also the best parts of that second phase of like, okay, let me figure out how I can get more respect on my lyrics at this point, and like merging the two. And I think that it's like I can't wait for people to hear it. I can't wait for you to hear it. I can't wait for anybody to check it out and be like, oh shit. Like anybody that's been with me since the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
you'll definitely hear the evolution. And I think anybody that's new coming in, like I think it will make somebody interested to hear, well, how did he get here? And I like that. I like that the story I have going so far is that. Um, and hopefully in the music coming, in the future, I can tell those stories audibly so people can
Mm-hmm.
kind of see those things. Because obviously, like without the conversation piece, you wouldn't know those things, right? But it's so much behind the music. Like I'm sure it is with every artist,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure some people walk in, it's like with DD, like this is what we're gonna do today, and like that's just it. But like as you can see, I can't fake it. Like everything kind of has a story behind it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm super excited about the future.
Yeah, and I would definitely say this is where taking advantage of the behind the scenes. So the stuff that, can't fit in and, explain all the extra shit for all the geeks that want to, study your craft. You get to
Mm.
hit them with that. And then that could also be a merchandise. I'm not sure, do you
Uh,
have any merchandise?
we did some back in the day around Vibes. I, um, I don't have any recently that I've done because again, I've just been you know, more of a
Sipping through.
let me figure it out. But it's definitely that's something I definitely want to do. Like, that would be like the greatest feeling in the world. One, make some money, but like also being like, oh, somebody brought something because of me, and they're willing to wear it on their body. Like, what the fuck? Like that'd be like
Mm-hmm.
super like and again, as boastful and as arrogant as I could be, I'm always super humble. Like it's not like, even a fake thing of being like even when I say thank you to you about you listening or appreciating something I've done, like it's not like a fake thing of being like, oh, I don't say it because like I feel like I have to say it and shit. It's just like, like, you didn't have to find me, you didn't have to reach out to me, you didn't have to listen to these songs. You didn't have to find anything about them that you appreciated, So like I appreciate anybody taking the time. Even if somebody just like I don't like this shit. Like, obviously, I probably don't want to hear it, but like, I appreciate them at least listening and trying to find something there if they were. So, yeah, merchandise, all those things. It's in the works. It's in the plans. But I just want to make sure the music and the presentation coming next is right before we get to that stage.
Much love. And I
Yeah,
definitely think they're, well, I'd actually be curious to see what your merchandise would look like. If it's like the way how your music is, I think it would be really expressive. So, I'd
yeah,
be curious to see what that would look like.
yes, yes,
And coming to the end, I just want to thank you for coming on this platform, giving us a chance and telling your story. And we would definitely welcome you back to tell you more, and you're welcome to use our platform to promote, future projects. Um, so before you go, shout out all your platforms where
yeah.
people can find you. Shout out anybody that you want to put on, and then drop a song out of your catalog you want the audience to tune into.
Oh yeah, thank you, man. You can find me again. My name's Austin Steele. If you want to find me, the best places to find me, Instagram, Austin Steele Music, which is Austin Steele, my name. It's my actual government name. Steele spelled Steele, music on Instagram. On TikTok. I think my name is Sir SW Tibbs. I think that's the name, which another story in itself. But I'm sure if you search Austin Steele, like you'll find me. Um, I'm also like promoting a lot of the stuff there. Super happy about what everything that's going on there. Obviously, you can find me YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you do music. Austin Steele, Steele spelled Steele. Um, you said I forgot everything you asked me to do. You said
Uh,
shout
the
myself
second
out.
The second thing was shout out anybody that you want to put on, and then drop a song out of your catalog with the
Oh,
audience.
got you. As far as who I'd like to put on, there's this kid. I hope he doesn't mind me calling him the kid because he's younger than me. But there's this kid called
Young Buck.
yeah, yeah, definitely Young Buck. I got a story with him. I have a couple songs with him. Um, he is super. He's definitely not like me musically. Like he's from the Bay. His name is Cabot, Kabid. He's super dope. He found me like literally. The kid was 15 years old. And DM me one day off a freestyle I did. And was like, "Yo, if you could freestyle this, like I'd love to see what you would do with writing, like writing a verse." Um, and he's, again, one of those people that like people send me shit all the time. I'm like, this is ass. I'm not gonna do it. Like, and he sent me a beat, and I didn't think he was gonna be serious about it, and he sent it quick, and it was something I've never been on before. The song's called Bottom. And I gave him a verse. He's the only person I've ever like done a feature for. And it was a exciting time, and he's super dope. He's super melodic. He's very Bay Area, if I haven't mentioned that. He's from the Bay Area. And I think that the kid
Mm,
has all the talent in the world. And I think that I see in him what I was when I was younger. And he's got more, it's a different lane, but I think he has it looks to me like he has all the ambition in the world. So anybody out there that wants to see a young artist that's hungry and passionate about what they do, and you like melodic shit, like listen to Cabot, Kabid. Um, and as far as the song that I want everybody to listen to, this is my most popular song number wise on streaming. It's a song called A Gift from Cabot. The segue is fire because
mm,
Cabot is the artist that we just talked about, but he's also the person that's in the name of the song. The name of that song came about because Cabot was trying to. He sent me another beat after we did the first song together, and he was like, "Yeah, I think you should get on this." And at the time, he didn't have any, I don't think he didn't have any vocals on it. It was just like a beat. He was like, I was like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, what's the theme of the song? He was like, just do something and we'll figure it out. And he sent it to me. And to me, I feel like I went crazy. Like, I think there's most people, that's probably my best verse so far. It's arguable, but I think I went crazy on the song. And I sent it back to him. I was like, I put a verse on it, put some ideas on it, but it was supposed to be a joint song. And he was like, bro, he said, this is the best I've ever heard you. And he's like, you should keep the song. I'm like, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't think there's anything I can do to the song. Like, it's your song. Like, at this point, like, and no, it wasn't like any disrespectful shit. It was just like, yo, you take it. Like, I think you should use this. Um, and I was like, thank you. And I took the song and I posted it. Again, didn't it's one of those things I didn't think a lot of it. Like it was supposed to be a mixed to featured song, and um, I posted the song, and it went crazy. Like the streams went up, and it got a lot of notoriety and attention from it, and it's a fire song. And if you like raps and some melody and people talking about like the song really is the intro. Like if you want to know who Austin Steele is, listen to A Gift from Cabot. That song describes who I am perfectly. It's about my struggles, it's about my fears, my ambitions, my cockiness, my insecurity. It's everything is there. Um, and it's literally the theme to my life at this point, about my journey of trying to achieve the goals that I set for myself at 18 years old. So that's the song y'all should check out. A Gift from Cabot. Again, my name is Austin Steele. Check out Cabot. He's a great artist. And yeah, thank you.
Shout
And
out
thank
to
you to
both.
you.
Shout out to both of y'all.